Hey guys, how's it going? So we're going to talk about triglyceride synthesis. But to start off, I wanted to show you these three structures. I mean, these are all things that we've seen a lot. However, I wanted to draw out the structures to show basically how similar they are and how easy it is to go from one form to the other. If you look at glycerol and dihydroxyacetone, well, it's basically DHAP without the phosphate on the end. Glycerol is basically just a reduced form, or if you want to look at it, acetone is an oxidized form of glycerol, and glycerol 3-phosphate is basically just replacing the OH group with a phosphate at carbon 3. So basically you see from these, for all of them, there's 3 carbons, and they all have either alcohols or a phosphate, or that ketone that you can reduce to an alcohol. Those are all very good leaving groups. So that's why we're going to use basically this same structure each time in order to be the backbone of the triglyceride. So first off, the little concept map for this one, we're going to be working with G3P, glycerol 3-phosphate. That's, as I just said, pretty much going to be our backbone. You can get it from glycolysis. In the liver, you can get it from gluconeogenesis. You're going to add 3 fatty acids to it, and you're going to kick off the phosphate. That's going to give you your triglyceride or your triacylglycerol. If you're already in the adipose tissue when you do that, you can just store it. Or if you're in the liver, you're going to package it up into VLDL and ship it to outside to the adipose tissue. When it gets there, the LPL is going to intercept it and split it up into glycerol and fatty acids so that it can go into the adipose. Once it's there, the fatty acids will be rejoined by glycerol 3-phosphate and can be stored. If you don't eat for a while, you're going to fast, and then lipases are going to break down your triglyceride into glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Glycerol is going to go to the liver. The fatty acids are going to go to the liver and the tissues. Now let's look at more specifics. A little bit here. All right. So, as we said, glucose, do glycolysis as far as DHAP, and then you'll reduce the DHAP to get glycerol 3-phosphate, or with glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase to get glycerol 3-phosphate. If that enzyme sounds familiar, that was what we used to make the glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle. Remember when we had NADH that was made during glycolysis, but we needed to get those electrons into the mitochondria, we drop them off to DHAP to make glycerol 3-phosphate because that could cross the membrane. Likewise with glycerol in the liver, that's just going to use glycerol kinase to phosphorylate our glycerol. And again, this enzyme I believe is only found in the liver and therefore maybe a little bit the kidneys, but pretty much the liver. So you got your glycerol 3-phosphate. Smooth ER is going to add on some fatty acids. So it's going to remember the structure of glycerol 3-phosphate. You've got the 2 alcohol groups and 1 phosphate group. Well, the 2 alcohol groups are going to be kicked off, and 2 fatty acyl-CoAs are going to be added on where they were. And that structure is then known as phosphatidic acid. You've got 2 fatty acyl-CoAs and a phosphate. Goodbye phosphate, because I didn't know the name of that reaction. There's probably an enzyme involved, but the textbook didn't think it was important enough to know. So that's going to just kick off your phosphate. You'll have a diacylglycerol, and then we're going to add on a 3rd fatty acid where the phosphate used to be. That will give us our triacylglycerol or our triglyceride. Again, if you're in the adipose, you can go ahead and store it. Or if you're in the liver, you're going to package that. You're going to add in other lipids, this protein ApoB100. Look in a textbook, look online if you want more details as to what goes into that, but this flow chart here, we're just showing the pathways and the basics. That's going to be all packaged together into VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. It's going to be released in the blood and then go to the adipose tissue or that LPL. It can also you also take away fatty acids and glycerol from chylomicrons, leaving chylomicron remnants. Or with VLDL, it's going to unpackage them. The glycerol can go back to the liver. LPL will turn the very low density lipoprotein into an intermediate density lipoprotein, then a low density lipoprotein. I think I might have those reversed. I'll have to check. But anyway, just know it's going to unpackage things from your very low density lipoproteins. So the fatty acids are going to go in. They're going to go in the form of fatty acid CoA, and they're going to be stored. Actually, they're going to be reassembled. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. The intestines are going to give glucose to the adipose during the fed state, and that's going to make 3-GP from DHAP, and then you're gonna add your fatty acyl CoAs onto that. That's gonna give you your triglyceride. That's what's gonna get stored. Now, when you're fasting, all sorts of stuff happens. Like you're gonna want to break that up. When you're fasting, your glucagon level's high. Then over here, your high glucagon and low insulin is gonna cause cyclic AMP to be made from ATP. Wow, my spelling errors are just awful today, apparently. That's going to activate our protein kinase A, because remember, high glucagon, everything gets phosphorylated. They're like audience members in an Oprah Winfrey show. Instead of getting a gift, they get a phosphate. So you've got an inactive lipase is going to get phosphorylated, and hey, it becomes active. That lipase is going to break up our triglyceride into glycerol and fatty acids. The fatty acids are going to travel with albumin to the liver and the tissues, and glycerol is just going to go to the liver. And that's pretty much it for triglycerides. Thanks, hope you're doing well, and I'll see you later.